Do you want some ideas for using your 6x8 paper fast without making scraps? Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com, and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today, I'm going to use Boho pattern paper and cardstock from scrapbook.com. I'll be using a variety of sizes just based on the cardstock, but the paper is the 6x8 collection because I have 6x8 paper busting template number 13, which means that there are 12 others available for free at jesscrafts.com. So those will be linked in the video description, as well as this will be one of the first links in the video description. And if you would prefer just to get a whole bundle of them, they are in the Etsy shop. Okay, so this one may look familiar to some of you. Oh, I also want to let you know I am using the scrapbook.com Sweet Scoops stamp set and dies because I know a lot of people purchased them recently as part of a bundle, so I wanted to make sure I shared some ideas with those. Okay, so we're gonna get started. This one may look familiar, and that is because at SBC Fest in the spring of 2023, I did share something similar. I showed you how, that you could cut paper like this and several ideas for it. But I did want to put it into its own template for those of you who like to kind of keep everything really organized, kind of like I do, and have it as a separate idea. But if it looks familiar, that might be why. I will link you to SBC Fest. I was teaching at the one for spring 2023, but there is one coming soon. I think it's in the fall of 2024. I'll link some information in the video description because SBC Fest is super fun. It's a free event and you get to learn from a lot of amazing teachers. And they have a nice combination of like a little bit more well-known crafters and a little bit of up-and-coming crafters. So I like to see that mix. Like I was featured, I had a class, but like so did Frank Garcia and Diane Reevely. I mean, like to be anywhere near them. So what I did was I cut my piece of 6x8 paper to 4 by 5 1/4, and I have 2 sheets like that. And what is left over is 3 1/4 by 4 inch. And so basically, I'm just gonna take this larger sheet and make it my background of my card. And then the stripe is going to go across. I'm gonna cut a little mat for the stripe just so that it stands out a bit more. Now, something to note about this is this works best for non-directional pattern paper if you're going to do it exactly as I show, because I am showing you a portrait card, but here, let me make sure I don't cut this wrong. I need 1 inch off of it. So I'm gonna make a portrait card, but the way I had to cut the paper was more of a landscape style. So that is something to keep in mind in non-directional pattern paper, or you just kind of turn the sketch on its side and you can have this stripe going this way, or in the class I talk about different ways to use it, and I'll have some ideas for that coming up. But now this piece of paper, this piece of cardstock that I cut is from the A2 sized cardstock collection from scrapbook.com, so it means it's really easy because it's already the width I want, and I just had to cut the inch off. And so that's the basic outline of the card, and we're ready to go ahead with some embellishment. As I go to assemble my card, one of my favorite things about having a grid mat here on my work surface is it just helps me to line things up more evenly. I'm actually just kind of eyeballing between 2 lines here, but you can also just line it up specifically with a line on your mat. And since I work with pattern paper so much, lining up things kind of precisely helps quite a bit. So I did choose to use this larger side of the pattern because this pattern paper has 2 sides, and one is like a smaller version and a larger version of the same pattern and same colors. And I went with the bigger version here because I'm going to do all of my embellishing directly onto the patterned paper. I could also do my sentiment stamping directly onto this pattern paper. I think it'd be pretty readable, but, and I'll show you the sentiment I pick out, but I decided to do it a little differently. So we're gonna work with that Sweet Scoops shape die, because like I said, I know a couple of you purchased it. Some of you used my scrapbook.com affiliate link. I really appreciate that. This die set is designed such that you could make a little shaker element. So you can put this smaller cut through it and they can layer them, or you can make this a little shaker window and put like some of those fun sprinkle little shaker elements inside or something like that. I think that would be really, really cute. It's kind of a card I want to do, but it's a little bit more involved, so that kind of takes some effort for me sometimes to go all the way to a shaker card. I have done some shaker cards in the past. They are super cute, but I am a simple crafter at heart. I had accidentally not stored my glue bottle in its special holder, and so all the glue had sank to the bottom, and it was giving me some trouble there. But this is the scrapbook.com Artiste Fine Tip Glue, and perfect for gluing little tiny things like this grid here to kind of give some texture to the ice cream cone. I cut this all out of different colors of the Boho paper that I mentioned earlier. I know some people like to take this, like when they're gluing something small like this, take like a makeup sponge and kind of dab on glue. I think that's a great idea, but it's just something I never remember in the moment. Anyway, this little grid pattern is designed such that it is smaller than the ice cream cone. Now, if you really want the lines to go to the end, you absolutely can do that. You can line it all the way up here at the end, but there's going to be a big gap at the top, which you just cover with the ice cream. But as you can see, it kind of makes the cone a bit shorter. And then if you leave the gap, I think it still looks totally fine. I actually kind of like it a little better, which is probably why the designer created it that way, having that little bit of breathing room. But I just kind of wanted to mention that, because if you're like, oh, because at first I thought they would line up perfectly, but they don't quite, and that's totally fine. But something worth mentioning. And then you have your ice cream scoops. You can cut out as many scoops as you want. I initially thought this might be, because sometimes I just play with something before I check a bunch of examples, because I kind of just want to explore it. I thought it was going to be like candy dripping or like hot fudge or something on a cone, but in actuality it's meant for that inner side. So just so you know what this is designed for. It also can just you can use it and do 2 shades of pink and just add some dimension to it. You don't have to do it as a shaker, but that is what that is for. And then of course there's a cherry on top there. That's super cute. I am not going to use that today. And then I need to add a little bit of glue to attach my ice cream to the cone. And that is the simplest way to use this die set. You can of course do a lot more of the options that we talked about, and I like that it interacts nicely with the stamp set. So if I wanted to stamp some sprinkles onto there, this stamp set will work. And then there is, of course, this solid stamp, which then coordinates with those sprinkles. I think it's a little big for those. I haven't actually tested it out. But as you can see, there's a lot of great options for sentiments to go with it. I picked the You're So Cool, in part because I wanted something that would be really easy and universal to give. So I don't make a lot of birthday cards, for instance, but I think you could mask off the birth or actually cut it off and just have a sweet day. So that would be an option. If you make a lot of birthday cards, just cut it off, because you can always put it back in later. Okay, and then I have I stamped the You're So Cool in a brown ink to kind of be reminiscent of caramel or chocolate for a card. And I didn't want to add too many additional colors to this card. It's very simple. It came with a really bright color paper pack, and I think you can totally go that way, but I also think pastels and soft colors are really fun for ice cream as well. And you can go to the left to make it a little more interesting. I think I'm just going to keep it all centered, and I will add some dimension behind that. I like more general sentiments is because I like to donate my cards. Many of you know that. And I've been thinking that it would be really nice if I could add something extra to my donated cards. I have for many years put jokes inside my cards. I like it because it's an easy thing to say. It doesn't mention anything too specific. A lot of times these cards I'm donating to, I don't know who they're going to. They're often going to children in hospitals or in other difficult situations, or organizations that serve the elderly, organizations that serve the military. And I thought, oh, these are all people who could benefit from some little, just a little smile. But I thought it'd be fun to also add an activity. So I have made these, and the jokes are completely free at jesscrafts.com. You don't even have to enter your email address. But these are a product available now in my Etsy store. It's a printable product, and they are A2 sized card inserts. So once you cut them on the dotted line or just inside of the dotted line, depending on which look you like, they will fit inside an A2 size card, or of course any card that's larger than A2, so if you like 5x7 cards. And they do come in both portrait and landscape. So if you're making a landscape card, you will get both when you purchase the set. There is a link and a coupon code in the video description. I believe you can find it though if you just type shop.jesscrafts.com, but again, there'll be a link. And so each pack, and there's many themed packs. This is my summer pack, and it has the ice pop, so that's probably what I would use. Well, that is what I use inside this card. And it includes a color by number, a matching game, tic-tac-toe, dots and boxes, mazes, word scrambles, word searches, an acrostic poem where you take the letters that spell a word and then you make a poem about that theme. So this line would start with the letter S, and then a line that starts with U, and make a poem about, in this case, summer. And then one of those word finders where you like take a word or a phrase and you try to come up with as many small words inside of it as possible by mixing up all of the letters. I tried to include a variety of activities that I thought would appeal to children and adults. So while I might not put, say, a color by number in a sheet that serves senior citizens, like in a card that serves senior citizens or veterans, maybe putting a tic-tac-toe in there would make sense, or even the dots and boxes game they can play with a friend. A maze or the word scramble could be intellectually stimulating. I know they're they're rather simple, but still, we do want, I think they are good enough for those cases, because again, I could have made the word search a little bit harder or the maze a little bit harder, but then they get really small. And then they don't fit very well on the inside of the card. So I try to balance those two things, and I hope that you see there's some things that will appeal to whoever you like to donate your cards to. I have them cut out. I've been storing them inside of envelopes for now, and so I just cut the top off, and then all my summer themed ones are in here, my ocean animal, so I can just pull out some pre-cut little activity sheets to go for inside of my cards when I get ready to donate a whole bunch of them at one time. If you found this video helpful, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template tutorial, and check the video description for product links as well as a coupon code. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.